Hey everyone, welcome to A Mess Nonetheless. I am Rachel.
And I'm Melissa, and we are sisters. And hello everyone. How are you all? I guess you can't really answer that. How are you, Rachel?
I am good. Thanks for asking. We were just discussing the weather, that like it's a high of 35 where Melissa is, and it's about 35 where I am, but it's a high of 51. But like the temperatures don't ever in the winter get that close to each other. So it's kind of crazy.
Because I'm in
Arizona.
Minnesota and Rachel's in Arizona. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But it's unseasonably chilly here right now. So it's supposed to be in the mid 60s later in the week. So and sunny.
And it's been actually a fairly warm winter here.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of snow, and I don't think it's gotten below zero, maybe once or twice, which
it did a couple times when I was there over Christmas. It was like negative 13 one day when I was like getting up.
Was it?
To leave. I was like, oh.
I must not have left the house.
Yeah, it was mid 30s a lot of the days I was there, which is actually really nice for some winter. So
it's kind of perfect. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. All right. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about being teachable. And Rachel just said, so are you ready? And I said, well, we'll see. I've been thinking a lot about this because being teachable is super important to me. Like it's super important to me that my kids are teachable. It's hard for me when I watch adults not be teachable. And so like it matters a lot, but it also kind of feels like it can be a little bit hard to talk about. So let's see what do you mean? We got.
Why would it be hard to talk about?
Just to kind of like put it into words and put it into situations, not because it's painful to talk about, nothing like that. Just like a little abstract to talk about. Sometimes I feel like
abstract. Yeah, that's a good. Well, yeah. It's like when we did the episode on being weird, and everyone listening is like, I have no idea what she's talking about until I started talking about it, and they're like, ooh, I do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think I get weird. Ooh, like every woman was like, oh, I totally get that. So abstract does not mean we should not discuss it.
No, I agree. It just makes me say when we're starting, and you ask me if I'm ready, and I don't know.
I don't know.
So Rachel, will you tell me when you hear the word teachable, being teachable, that phrase, what do you think of?
Well, first, when you asked me if we could do this, you typed in text, I think we should do one on being reachable. And I was like, okay, like what? Like keeping our phones on, like being on.
Don't ever put your phone down. Don't ever take a break. Don't ever walk away from it. Be available all the time.
I think we would do a podcast on being the opposite. When you don't need to be so reachable. And she was like, I meant teachable. I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense.
Yes.
Well, teachable it's a posture. It's a heart condition, I think. It's a state of being open-minded and being able to learn from people in an area that you could do better or you could grow in or whatever. And so it's going to church and listening to a sermon and not going, I know who needs this sermon, but going, oh, God, what can you teach me in the sermon? Also, I know who needs this sermon.
I'm writing down your list. Who all do I need to send this to?
No, usually when I send someone a sermon, I'm like, oh, this is so good. You will love this. Like my heart's in a good place. But like, I was just so unteachable for all the years.
A few years.
Until I was, I don't know, early 30s, maybe late 20s.
Yeah.
And we have a member in our family who is young, like, new to adulthood and has just been learning how to be teachable and only learned like me through being very unteachable and it causing a lot of chaos. Because when we're not teachable, we're creating a mess everywhere we go. Because people are like, well, you could just like listen. You don't have to like be so prideful about it and whatever. But so for me, being teachable is being willing to be open. I mean, I feel like we're always talking about the same things, but in different ways. I know,
but always different. It's very interesting how I didn't actually realize how much everything kind of comes together, crisscrosses and overlaps until this podcast. It's like,
I know.
Ooh. So I actually have a everyday example of teachable and not teachable. So I have taught four teenagers how to drive. And for whatever reason, my husband, who's a truck driver, you would think he'd want to be the one to do all the teaching. And he actually has never helped any of our kids learn to drive until this one right now.
Did he potty train them either?
Probably, actually. He probably did potty train them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if he was home, he was over the road. So who knows? Maybe he didn't. But I think he's like, I don't know. I would have thought he would have wanted to be all over teaching them. But it was me, and it's fine. I don't mind teaching them to drive. I don't get super nervous or anything like that with them. And but one of the children's every single time I would say something to this child, I'm not going to say names or pronouns because I don't, because then you'll have more ideas of what I'm talking about. So child
it's
one,
the one girl.
child one, I would say, you shouldn't take that corner, like take a right turn at 40 miles an hour. Yeah, I know. Okay, but you just did it. Yeah, right. Okay, but
next corner comes.
So the next corner comes. Okay, so you just did it again. Yeah, I know not to do it. I'm like, but you keep doing it. What is happening? That is not very teachable. In fact, when I've taught my kids to drive, I banned the phrase "I know" from the car. I'm like, if you say "I know," we are pulling over, getting out, and I'm taking over. Because you don't
You're
know.
literally just
You
learning.
know nothing. And
even if you know it in your brain, if you're not doing it in action, you really don't know it.
Exactly. It doesn't really matter what you think you know if it's,
oh my gosh,
if you're almost crashing my car.
We went on an over the road trip with this particular child, the one we won't use pronouns for, the one who shall not be named. And every time we went into a parking lot, I mean, this was years after this particular person learned to drive. It was like,
yes.
We're in the back seat.
If you're not on YouTube, Rachel just looked like she was on a roller coaster ride. Yeah, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you are. You were like cutting out.
I was like, you're making me sick. I get car sick. Yeah, guys, I know. Okay.
Yeah. Or like another time, oh, I'm going to get so much trouble for this conversation.
The one who shall not be named doesn't listen all the time.
Do they? Hopefully not at all. So at least not to this one. And another time I was like, you're not supposed to hit the people in the crosswalk. Yeah, I know. I'm like, but you almost just did. Because
you kind of sped up towards them.
So
guys, obviously I know not to hit the people. And I was like in the backseat, dude.
So this is a really good example of not being teachable.
Well, and the thing about this person is that I was this person for so long. So I can say to he or she, I can say, hey, guess what? Your life is going to go a lot better. Like this is literally Proverbs. Learn, and it's going to go a lot better for you.
Exactly.
And thankfully, this person is so wonderful and is so mature beyond, we'll just say it, her years. Like, I mean, she's wonderful, and I want to be like her when I grow up in so many ways. But in this particular area, there was a lot of not teachable moments. Yeah. And by the time she went to college, her and I had a lot of conversations kind of about it. And I was like, if you go and you're like this with your new friends, you won't have them very long.
It's true.
People don't want to be around someone who knows, quote unquote, knows everything and isn't open to hearing anything. And, it's not like it's our friends' jobs to always criticize us. But it's like, but it is our job to be open to listening to critique, I guess, like, and ask God, is there something for me here? And she's wonderful. And this was years ago. And
and we just like to make fun of it.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite stories. Guys, obviously I know not to hit people in the crosswalk. Is it obvious?
Oh my gosh. You guys, if you don't make fun of your kids, you're gonna like them a whole lot less. So spend some time.
Just spend some time and no.
But then the contrast was that my next two were super teachable, and it made the whole learning to drive so much more pleasant. It made me want to take them driving.
Yeah.
It made me want to let them drive whenever we would go anywhere, because I knew that
it wasn't going to be a whole big thing.
No. And they would say, I'm sorry. Like if they would do something, like the other day, the child who's about to get his license, he did take a corner kind of fast. He's like, whoa, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know why I just did that. Like that's a teachable spirit is when you even just not only do not say, I know, but you also are willing to say, I mean, I know we're just talking about driving cars, so this is silly, but this is a black and white example. Yeah, exactly. When you can get it wrong and just say right away, oh, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry.
Right. Without even having to be told.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying, and I believe this, is that a teachable spirit just says right away without even having to be told all of the times. Of course, there's going to be times we need to be told, but I'm sorry, that was my bad, guys. And that says to those around us, it communicates heavily what kind of person we are and if our spirit is open to being teachable or not.
Yeah. I actually am sitting here thinking, we just recorded I don't know if these are coming out in order, but we recorded about being understood, and I'm realizing being understood and teachable kind of go hand in hand, because so I'm thinking of, with relationships, if Now I just lost why I think I go after this.
Never mind. Change their minds.
Yep. My mind went blank. Okay.
Well,
so
we were talking about being in the podcast, the episode we just did about being understood. We were talking about being open-minded and listening to people to understand.
yes.
And that is being teachable.
Yes, for sure. That's
Even
what I was
if
going to
you,
say.
that is exactly what you were going to say. Even if you are like, oh, I heard what you said. I understand how you got there. I still land over here, but like I was teachable in the moment. And I know like right now, you know, there's so much division in our country, and there are races of people who have been wronged for generation after generation after generation, and they just want people to listen and understand them. Like we can't fix what was done.
No.
I don't think that people of different races that were wronged think, well, you can make up for it. Like, but they just want to be heard and not told, well, this and this and this. Is like they just
so they want to be understood, but we have to have a teachable spirit
exactly
to understand. I mean, they really do go hand in hand. Look at that. I knew that they went together.
It only took you 7 minutes to get there.
My mind shut down. It happens sometimes.
It happens to me too.
I'm a server at an Italian restaurant in the town I live. You should come and see me if you live around here. And I can't tell you, I bet at least 5 times a night I walk up to people and I'm like, hi, welcome to whatever. And then I'll be like, I go blank. I can't.
What comes next? Can I get you a drink?
Yes, that's what comes next. Or I'll go to give them their food, and I know what the food is because I've been serving it a ton. And I'll be like, here's your
here's your delicious looking meal.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
my goodness.
Anyways, so the reason I think that so I was looking up verses on being teachable, and there's a whole lot of verses. We'll just say the whole Bible is basically like be teachable.
That's funny. That's what I was thinking.
Life is going to be so much better. You're going to be wiser. You are going to have more friends.
You're going to bless people more.
Yeah, you're just going to be more likable. I mean, like literally everything will be better. And what I want to chat about being teachable, because I don't think that means that we go into every relationship and I'm like, okay, you can teach me. Like it's not that's expecting people to teach us. Yes,
no,
nobody would want to be your friend. That will not make your life better.
No, you will have no friends, and it'll be your fault.
Yeah, but it just means that when you are in relationships with people, that man, it just really keeps coming back to it's okay to not understand, but it's also okay to learn why they're saying what they're saying or what they're feeling, what they're feeling. And I think about when like learning a new job. Okay, so there's been times where I'm at a new job and I'm being taught things that I do know. Actually, it's not that I am being unteachable. I'm like, I really do know these things, but I've learned that if I just listen and take it in instead of telling them every time, oh yeah, I actually know how to do that. Oh yeah, I actually know how to do that, because that's annoying. And this person's just doing their job teaching me.
You don't say, I know.
I know, obviously, I know. I've done this before. And anyways, and so sorry, my oldest son just got home and distracted me and made my mind go blank again. Rachel, what was I saying? What was I going to say?
When you're being taught something, you don't say, oh yeah, I already know that.
Yes. So it can be as simple as those kind of situations all the way through like extreme conflict and really, again, it just because you're willing to be teachable doesn't mean you're going to necessarily change your mind on how you feel about a subject or how you feel about something, but it will just make you approachable. And
oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's good. Well, I had an interesting thing happen back when I was leaving Eau Claire, leaving Wisconsin. Oh, there's Taters in the background. If you're watching on YouTube, there's her big boy.
He's my giant man child.
He's a friendly giant. If
he
you're
is a friendly giant.
You're like, why are they talking about this? I can't even see this person.
You should go on YouTube and see. He's really cute in the background.
Really
he's gone.
Back when I was moving from Wisconsin, I wanted to go out to dinner with, or a couple of girlfriends were like, let's go out to dinner one last time. And I wanted to go to my favorite restaurant, and Googled it and found out that they had just started mandating that you had to be vaccinated to eat there. And I'm married to an ER doctor. I'm vaccinated for everything. I don't care where you land. It does not bother me. I'm vaccinated. It's not, it's not a boastful thing for me. We got vaccinated. But it did not sit well with me I knew some of my friends in this group were not vaccinated, and it did not sit well with me that you had to be vaccinated to go to this restaurant. And I kind of didn't want to even try to eat there, even if we were all vaccinated, which we weren't. Yeah. So we right away said, okay, we'll have to go somewhere else, obviously. But I was at dinner one time. We were all at dinner, Melissa, and all of us older, or all of us adults in our family were at dinner.
Our like siblings and parents.
And parents. Okay. And I ended up sitting, this is so weird. I ended up sitting by my two brothers and my dad, our two brothers and our dad, which is abnormal because usually I'm right by all the women. And I just said, both our brothers, like they're like us, they vote like completely different. And then our dad likes to think he's right in the middle, but he definitely leans one way.
Yes.
So our family is very diverse politically, and spent a lot of time talking about politics, but I think a lot of us are beginning to be more teachable in this way. And it's funny, I don't mean to keep talking about politics, but it's just such a prime example. Yeah. And we are two prime examples of people because we don't usually land in them. I mean, I think it's okay that I say you're not vaccinated. Like, no. We land on the same place. Like,
oh yeah, no, I'm not. And I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. And so, and I just said, I just want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on this? And it was, my decision was made. We didn't go there. Like it was already passed, but I just wanted to know other people's opinions. And I thought, I'm sure I can learn something here. And we all kind of were in different places and for different reasons. Like even if one person said, oh, I don't like that, but it was for like a completely different reason than the reason I said it, or if someone was like, I don't really mind, whatever. It was just very interesting having this conversation. And I was like, I don't know. I know 10 years ago, I couldn't have had this conversation and have all of these people be so open-minded, myself included. But I think even some of our brothers might have been the same way 10 years ago. And we're all maturing.
As you and I have grown and matured, so have they. And so we all have together.
Exactly. And it was just kind of beautiful to me. Like we're literally just sitting around and talking about something that, like didn't really even matter because it was already passed. Like I wouldn't ever probably go there ever again because I was moving out of that town. But still, I enjoyed having that conversation, and no one was right.
Yeah.
We all were just hearing each other. And that's
exactly. And that's teachable. A huge part, is not having to be right. That's part of being teachable, is just totally being okay with you being where you're at and me being where I'm at. I have a group of friends. There's 4 of us that are very, very close. And we all come from different points of view. Yeah. Whether it's political stuff, whether it's on homosexuality, whether it's on sex before marriage, whether it's on are we okay with our kids swearing in front of us? We have all these, and we talk all the time about where do we all come from. And it has helped me grow my mind, but not necessarily in a way that's like, now I have changed everything I'm thinking. It's just helped me.
Right. You're not compromising your convictions.
Right. That's the word. See, you're just taking all the words from me because I'm having a hard time with them.
I took them for you, or I gave them to you.
You're speaking them for me. I have no words, so I'm saying the wrong ones when I am saying things.
That's funny. Yeah. You don't compromise your convictions.
No.
Your hearts are softened towards.
Yes. And we all are. And we can have these really kind of touchy subject conversations with each other, and their emotions don't get heightened. We don't get angry. Because nobody's trying to be right. Everyone's just wanting to hear where everyone lands and why. And it's beautiful, because seriously, is how different we all are. I don't think we could be as close as we are if we didn't allow for each other to just speak freely and listen.
Right. Well, I love, like in the Bible, Jesus was kind of the walking example of receiving instructions. Like he was always seeking God for counsel and direction, like reminding himself, like, I'm not the only one in charge, so to speak. Like he was always taking time to go and ask God. Like even when he was going to be arrested, he was like, if you want to take this cup from me, like, he was, and not just walking around assuming. I mean, he was literally God, but he was not walking around assuming he knew everything. He knew that there was, we are all, even though he was perfect, he was human. So he understood our human emotions. And I love that. And then Proverbs is all about receiving instruction and the wisdom and listening, like pretty much. And then it's like, this is all the bad things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
Don't listen to wisdom and instruction. And here's all the good things that are going to happen. And I love that. In Proverbs 12:1, I love this one. Whoever loves discipline loves to learn. So like nobody usually loves discipline, but it's saying, if you love discipline, you love to learn. Whoever hates to be corrected is stupid. That's my favorite version. Whoever
is stupid.
Corrected is stupid. So if you're listening,
depends. You get to decide. Do you want to be stupid or not?
I know. If you're listening today and you're like, I don't like to be corrected, Bible says you stupid. It's like, You get to decide. And if you didn't know that verse was in there, you do now.
Yeah.
And I was someone who hated to be corrected, like
Mhm.
so many years of my life. I just hated
Mhm.
it, and I rebuked or rebutted it, and I just couldn't
Mhm.
ever receive it. And I was kind of stupid. I mean, that it's like I wasn't learning. And then once I got to the place where I was like, okay, I don't want to be this way. I want to learn. Like, oh, the floodgates just opened, and God just
Yeah.
started left and right and teaching me and growing me and maturing me. And
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. I feel like this isn't very long, but I feel like we covered a lot. I feel like
We did cover a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, there's another verse I want to say in Proverbs 2, 13-18. If you refuse to learn from your mistakes, you will be poor and no one will respect you. So not only will you be stupid, no one will respect
You'll
you.
be broke.
But if you listen when you're criticized, you will be honored. And I like that, like learning from your mistakes, listening when you're being criticized. Now, obviously, there's times people are just rude and they're just being critical, like so stupid. And you got to take everything to Jesus. Like, what do you have for me to learn here? We've talked about that in episodes past. But like, if someone comes to you with a critique, okay, I'm listening,
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah. I just had something really painful happen with me at my job. And it ended up being kind of a big misunderstanding. But basically, I was being told that several people felt that like I wasn't a team player and that I wasn't doing something I was supposed to be doing in my job. And I was so taken aback because I'm like, I know I'm a team player. Like, I don't even know how not to be a team player. Like, this is the way I'm wired. And in this part of my job that I was being told I wasn't doing, I'm like, I know I am. And I literally got on the phone with every single person that I knew was involved, and I had a conversation and I listened to them. And like I said, it
you
ended up,
started off by apologizing.
yes.
Even
And
though
it was,
you weren't really sure that it was true, you were like, but I'm going to apologize to people.
yeah, clearly
Sorry, I
something's going
made you
on here.
feel this way.
And it ended fantastic. Like, it ended up being like I said, a big miscommunication. Things were being, it just didn't come directly to me. Whatever was happening, it was going here and here and here and here. So then suddenly it was just growing and being whatever. And but I have a better relationship with everyone, all these people that I work with now, because I went to them and I apologized and I listened, and then they apologized because they were like, oh, okay, this is not where that was supposed to go. And it was
I didn't say that. That's not how this happened. But in the end, like, you're a safer and more respectable person to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they know they can bring conflict to you if they have an issue like, hey, Melissa, I don't like how you did this.
Right.
Oh, you've
We'll have a
communicated. I'm a person
conversation.
you can
Yeah.
bring that to.
Yeah. Now, you guys, I mean, at some point in my life, I would have probably just quit. I would have been like, I don't even know.
Reaction.
Yeah. And I would have been like embarrassed, but I also would have been like, how dare they? None of what they're saying is true. And then I would have just been, but I can't work with people.
What do we call that? Pride.
Pride.
We're always talking about pride.
Stinking pride is everywhere.
Well, it's I know I've been like really noticing how often a knee-jerk reaction is my response inwardly. Like, I maybe don't do it on the outside, but dang, it's like constant on my knee-jerk reaction. And I'm like, I got something to learn here, because I regularly just want to, like, I don't. God's taught me enough not to like say or do jerk things, but they're still like coming into my mind. And I'm like, there's something to learn there. But for you, what you showed people was you're teachable.
Yeah. And I still have my job. It's better. But like I said, if this would have been me, sorry, guys, hold on.
If this would have been you 10 years ago.
10, 15, I don't know how long ago, but at some point in my life, I would not have handled it like that. And it would have cost me my job, and it would have cost me some really great relationships that I've been developing this past year. And all for what? Because I wouldn't have been teachable.
Right. It's so true. Well, in 2 Timothy 3:16 says all scripture is given by God and useful for teaching and showing people what's wrong in their lives. It's useful for correcting and teaching. And so it's like, if we believe the Bible is from God and we believe that it is true, then like literally everything in it can teach us something, even if it's not the way we think it's going to teach us. Sometimes we read this and then our mind is opened over here, but we have to have a teachable spirit, not just people, but with God's word. And
exactly.
Do we have a challenge?
Just going to ask you that. Those words were in my head.
Those words were in your head. Well, I guess I would say, pay attention to, I think we all need to pay more attention to our first response, and not just the one that comes out, but the one that's inside. And if our first response resembles pride or haughtiness or arrogance or
defensiveness,
that's not teachable.
Mm-hmm.
So recognizing that is like the first step is, okay, I'm not teachable here. And then asking God, can you make me more teachable? And he will give you opportunities, and you'll probably fail a whole lot before you get there. But that's how we learn. We learn in our failings. And so, but asking God, he's the one who can give us that teachable spirit. And he's the one that can help us get rid of that pride. And I mean, we're never going to be fully rid of pride, but to bring in
we can be better off.
Exactly. And it really does help everyone in our lives around us. So
we would love to hear from you guys the next, like literally over the next day or two. I promise you that if you're interested in being more teachable, you pay attention, you'll have the opportunity. And the next day or two, it just will happen. And we'd love to hear how it felt different, how things went differently when you approach the conflict or the situation, whatever it is, with a more teachable mindset and spirit. And
I want to say one more thing too. So one thing Joey and I learned in premarital counseling that has bode well for us in our marriage, but I really started using it, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this if you've been in therapy in conflicts with other people, is I hear you saying this. Is that what you are communicating?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And one, it helps clear the air if I'm wrong, if I'm hearing wrong, but also if the person didn't mean to communicate something to me, I'm telling you that's what you're communicating to me.
Yep.
So let's just say I say to Melissa, I don't feel important to you. And she's like, well, that's stupid because you are important to me. And I say, well, I'm hearing you say I'm stupid and my feelings don't matter. And she's like, well, that's not what I said, It's like, well, that is what
an actual conversation. This is a for instance,
but it helps the other person see what they're communicating. And it helps me as the, person receiving that communication. Let's keep going back and forth until we land on the right page. Okay. I don't want to communicate to you might not want to communicate to me that I'm stupid, but I'm hearing that. So then let's use our words. Yeah. And that helps.
I do that with my kids all the time.
Well, and it's being teachable too, because it's like, if you're communicating something different to me, I'm ready for you to tell me that. Not just like, oh, this is what I heard. It's like, no, if there's something else, this isn't it. I want to hear what that is.
Yeah. No, I do that with my kids a lot. Like especially when we're having like talking through something hard, like maybe attitudes, things like that. And I'll say, tell me what you heard me say.
Yes.
Because they often are like, you think that I'm dumb.
Right.
Well, that's what you got out of this now. Like,
I love you so much. I don't like your decisions. I think this is leading down a bad path. What did you hear me say? You think I'm stupid.
You're dumb. Exactly.
Well, I was thinking it, but I didn't say it.
I know. How did you read my mind? No, I like that a lot.
Okay. So pay attention to first reactions. Are they teachable? And if not, ask God to help you become more teachable. All right. Well, we'd love to hear from you guys. Like Melissa said, you can reach out to us through social media or email us or our website, msnonetheless.com. So,
All right, guys, have a great week.
All right. Take care.